Hi, I'm Clinton Jones, Michigan State University College Hall of Fame in football and track and field, and also National College Football Hall of Fame. We were national champions in 1965 and 1966. You're watching Duffy Doherty's Milestone Minutes with Tom Shanahan. Go Green!
Welcome to Duffy's Milestone Minutes. We're going to look at the 1966 game of the century with the 60th anniversary coming up. Michigan State plays at Notre Dame on September 19th. And with us is Bob Apiza, the first Samoan All-American. He rode Duffy Doherty's Hawaiian pipeline to Michigan State, one of 11 players. And Bob is in the Polynesian Football Hall of Fame. How you doing, Bob?
Yeah, but thank you. Thank you very much for the compliments, Lucy. My respects always to you and the family. And Collie, we talk from time to time. Lucy and I talk from time to time. We communicate from time to time. Yeah. But anyway, Michigan
Let me
State's
introduce
playing.
Lucy. Bob, let me introduce Lucy, and then we'll keep moving forward. And also with us from the Bay Area is Lucy Wiedemeyer. She's also went to Michigan State, and she was the wife of Charlie Wiedemeyer, the greatest 1960s Hawaiian prep athlete, played for the Spartans, and then he coached Los Gatos, even though he had developed ALS, and they did a I think it was CBS, made-for-TV movie, and then also PBS documentary. How you doing, Lucy?
Good, Tom. Thank you. Thank you for doing this. It's so fun to think back to 1966 like it was yesterday.
Yeah, we're glad to have you. And then all the way from Hawaii is Kaliane, who was in middle school when he watched that 1966 game of the century, and we'll get to that more later. But Kali played for Michigan State in the early 70s.
It's Cully, Tom.
Cully.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Lucy.
You would know.
Thank you, Lucy. I might just say Charlie so I don't make any more mistakes. But he played on that 1974 team that upset number one ranked Ohio State, played 7 years in the NFL, 6 with the Chiefs, coached Punahou to state championships, and he definitely belongs in the Hall of Fame along with Bob and Charlie Wiedemeyer and Tommy Kalakahua and Jim Nicholson. So we're looking back on the 1966 game of the century, and most of the stories that you'll read as it gets closer to the game will focus on the controversial 10-10 tie. But the game was much bigger than that. First of all, it was an integration tipping point with Duffy Doherty, the first coach to assemble fully integrated rosters. The rest of college football, including USC, followed an unwritten quota limiting black athletes to a half dozen or so. Duffy had black players in the 20s and the 60s. And then the other thing that's transformative about this game is thanks to space technology and 3 Hawaiians playing for Michigan State, Bob Apiza, Dick Kenny, and Charlie Wiedemeyer, it was the first live broadcast of a football game to Hawaii, as well as to the U.S. Army troops over in Vietnam. And Charlie was in middle school. I think you were like 7th or 8th grade.
Cully,
you were watching that
Cully.
game.
No, we know him as Cully.
Cully. All right, Cully.
Just pretend Cully, it's a you.
Yeah.
Okay, Cully. All right, that's where I'm getting confused. Cully, tell us about how exciting it was to have not only the game of the century to watch live, but any football game. I think you told me they were on tape delay by a week or something like that. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we every TV show was delayed a week, so it was a huge deal to get this game on live television. We all came over to my grandmother's house, the whole family, and then they have 3 players from Hawaii that we all knew, and thought so much of was a thrill, and it was just the game itself was great. Back and forth, whatever, but just to watch and dream about perhaps playing at that level made it possible because these guys had done it. They were doing it very well. They're all starters. They just weren't on the team. They had a huge impact on the game. And they made us believe that we could do it, possibly do it as well.
Okay, yeah, and it was a record TV audience of 33 million. And keep in mind, the population was only 195 million. This most recent national championship game with Miami and Indiana, TV executives were giddy to have 30 million out of 340 million. So that shows you how that game just captured the nation's attention. So Bob was in the game. Lucy was sitting in Spartan Stadium, and Cully was watching on TV. Cully, first of all, explain to us what a great celebrity Bob was then and afterward in Hawaii, and then talk about Dick Kenny and Charlie Wiedemeyer, how they were famous in Hawaii.
Yeah, Bob was bigger than life when we were young, and he went to Farrington Public School, tough neighborhood, and for Duffy to see him and bring him there, because he represented all of us, and then he'd always come home and share stories with everybody. And again, like I said, made it possible for us to dream that maybe we could do that someday as well. And Dick Kenny from Pro City, the kicker, barefoot kicker, you got to have Hawaiian style. So that was awesome that he would be kicking in the snow with bare feet.
Yeah.
Barefoot.
Crazy to see. And everybody got to see that. And then Charlie was our favorite because he went to Punahou, and Lucy, and the whole story was just awesome. And Charlie wasn't a big guy, but he certainly belonged at that level, and he always had an impact on everything he did, And so it was just very, very proud to be a small part of that, that we could watch and just be excited about. It was great.
Yeah, and then Lucy and Charlie were high school sweethearts. Lucy followed Charlie to Michigan State. Lucy, talk about Spartan Stadium, how cold it was, how crowded it was, and how loud it was.
Oh, yeah, it was crazy. I have to tell you, though, I have known Cully since he was just a little kid, because in high school, we would go over to his parents' house, Dolly and Charlie, and just a special, wonderful, fabulous family. Always loved them. And they were so just engaging and encouraging, to both of us, and saw us, as a team, and long after graduation, being able to see them and be a part of, feel like a part of their family. And our son, Cully, is named after Cully. So,
right.
But back to Spartan Stadium. Oh, wow. They had to dress up. Oh my goodness. It was hysterical. We were not used to that. All the big fancy coats because it was cold. And sitting with, I usually sat with Pat Apisa, Dick's first wife, and his mom, his brother Bill. And that's a whole nother story. Brother Bill was great, celebrating, excited. All of us were excited. And then there was mom. She was, typical Samoan mom. And you better say everything nice about her boy. But the excitement, it was electrifying because, Notre Dame, was like bigger than life. And of course, them the year before, but it was just pandemonium, excitement, kind of like World Cup going on right now. It was really tremendous.
Yeah, and then in part two with Rocky Blyer and Clinton Jones, Rocky Blyer said when they came out on the field, and the Spartans came out on the field, they were already on the sideline. The roar was so loud.
Yeah.
Rocky says the air moved. I don't know how the air can move, but he swears by it. And another Notre Dame player I know, Mike Bergner, he said you could be standing right next to a guy on the sidelines, and you couldn't hear each other.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And then of course Bob was there on the field on the 65 and 66 national championship teams. His knee was bothering him a little bit for the game of the century, but he did make some snaps. Bob, what do you remember about Tell us about the excitement of that day and just the build up toward the game.
Well, I can remember it was the first game of the century. Oklahoma and Nebraska, whatever, got that name after that. But it was announced by Chris Schenkel and Bud Wilkinson. And Bud came over to our practice just before the game, and we knew who he was with Oklahoma and all that. But he gave us a little pep talk. He says, "You're the best team I've seen yet," meaning Michigan State at that time. And on November 19th, 1966, that happened. Television shut off the Congress. Matter of fact, ordered a holiday for the state of Hawaii. And we went. It was really big. I mean, we had so many people crowded there that you couldn't hear the signals, other than the fact that we looked at each other before the game. Myself, Dick Kenny, and Charlie Whittemire. We make eyes to each other. We that no make ass look.
That's a medical term.
That's really a term that we knew we had to go and do the job. Each one of us, and without Charlie, and I've said this before, without Charlie, we wouldn't have gotten there to the pinnacle of that game. Ohio State, we beat Ohio State and Woody Hayes down in Columbus. It was muddy. It was rainy, torrential rain, and Dick Kenny faded back. I scored a touchdown. Dick Kenny threw a pass to Charlie, and the next day in papers it said Hawaii 11, the Buckeyes number 8.
Yeah.
yeah, that's right. That's right.
It was funny. It was funny at that time.
Yeah.
But we knew we had to win that game in order for us to get to the pinnacle, which is the 10 cents high on November 19th, 1966.
Yeah, and Duffy Doherty struck up a friendship with Tommy Kalakakui Sr., and that's how the Hawaiian Pipeline started in the mid-50s all the way through to Carter. Actually, Carter Kamana was recruited by Muddy Waters, and then the Spartans' successive coaches didn't understand the foothold Duffy had carved out in Hawaii, and they let it go. But I want to talk. But we do have 4 Spartans from Hawaii on the team. We got Rustin Young from St. Louis, Kakai Burnett from Punahou, Analu Lafa'ale, I hope I pronounced that right, from Farrington, Bob's High School.
Nele Lafayette. He's from Farrington.
And then Leonard Ayu, the grandson of the great Junior Ayu. He's from Kahuko. Kali, you were coaching high school for a long time. Tell us a little bit about those guys as high school stars and maybe how they'll develop for the Spartans.
Well, it's nice to see that we got some, players going from Hawaii to Michigan State, and they got a good group. The big guys, the linemen are physical. They're athletic, and they had good grades as far as I could tell coming off of high school. And Lafayette's father coached him at Farrington, and he's a tremendous player, defensive, like edge player, great rusher, drops into coverage, very talented, very athletic. And then the junior's grandson, Ayu, I got a chance to see him. I went out to watch Kahuku practice one day, and he happened to stop by. So we talked about what to expect. He's transferred from, I want to say, Oregon State or another school. So that was the summer he was going to Michigan State, and so it was nice to talk to him and just reminisce a little bit about the campus and what to expect and the cold weather but how giving everybody was. It's Midwestern, so it's very like Hawaii. People are great, families take you in. Yeah, so I just loved it when I went there. But to explain that to someone else, brought those good memories back. And I think they're going to make an impact on the team, and hopefully convince coach to come back. I know it's his first year, Coach Pat Fitzgerald. He's got a lot of things going on, but hopefully they'll continue to come on and get some players.
Yeah, and then in 2024, when Rustin and Kakai were freshmen, I did a video with them that you can find on Duffy's Milestones with Leah Kamina. She was my co-host, and we talked about what they can expect going to Michigan State. And later at one of the games during the season, Bob, you had a chance to pose for a picture with those guys. How proud of those two guys are you?
Yes, it happened on the homecoming game against Iowa or somebody that I've forgotten about a few years back. And I had the pleasure of the honor of meeting Rustin and Kikai. And we took a picture together, and they're very, very nice guys. I mean, big boys. And I'm saying, you know, Bubba Smith, my former teammate, was 6'8". He's almost a shrimp compared to. But anyway, they're big and wide, and I remember that day, 1966. You know, I had a scroll from 2,400 students at Farrington High School. And they all signed their names. Good luck, good luck, good luck, Bob, and all that stuff. So it made me feel proud that I'm from Hawaii, number one. Number two, I'm from the 50th state. And we wanted to make sure that we stood up and be counted as football players. Like I said before, we come from a small state, but we sure do have some great athletes. And I know that with Charlie being one of those great athletes, and Dick Kenny, and so forth, you know, you have the present generations, such as Kale, that we're speaking with, and Jim Nicholson that we're speaking with, or that I know very well, then the Polynesian Hall of Fame. But Kale, I know that Norm Chow and you are deserving to be in that Hall of Fame. It's just a matter of time.
Yep.
It's just a matter of time. I told that to Norm. I said, you know, it's a process. They go through a process. It's not political, but it's a process. And people will find out that you, Akali, and Norm, you guys come out as very, very outstanding athletes in my mind, and you deserve that.
Well, thank you, Bob. I appreciate that very much.
Okay. Yeah, and if you go to my website, tomshanahan.report, and look for the graphic of Duffy's Milestone Minutes, one of the early ones, Leah Kamina and I were co-hosts, and we had Lucy on, and we talked about her life with Charlie, and Charlie got into coaching at Los Gatos, and then he came down with ALS. He continued to coach. Lucy was by his side, relaying what he was trying to communicate to the team when he lost his voice. They made a TV movie out of it. And who was that played you, Lucy? I'm forgetting that actress. She was in Mork and Mindy, right? She's from Detroit. And then they also made a PBS movie about Charlie.
Documentary.
Documentary, yeah.
With Charlie Whittemar's story. With Charlie Whittemar's story.
Yeah, and you
Bob
know,
and both talk about how proud you are of what Charlie accomplished.
Went to South Carolina to film that.
That's what I was saying. We had a kahuna named Baba Pizza.
That's right.
Oh my God.
Yeah. We put him out in the Atlantic Ocean. I don't know why he didn't freeze.
That's great.
You know, David Nuri and Pam Dauber were starring in that movie.
Michael Nuri.
Michael Nuri. Yeah.
When Charlie heard Pam Dauber was going to play my part, he thought he could play his part.
Yeah, right. But you know, it's something that you can, with the legacy of the Wiedemeyers. When you have the Wiedemeyers, the Kaulukukuis, and so forth and so forth. I mean, those are iconic football names and well known in the family, and the Anes are right there with it.
Yep.
And the fact of the matter is, we look up to Charlie, and Charlie I think, is Kali's father, I believe. Am I right on that, Kali?
Yes, yes, you are.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Because he played at Southern Cal. Am I correct on that? If I may.
Right. Yes.
Yes,
And
and
the
went
Detroit
with
Lions.
Detroit Lions, right?
Yeah.
And I'm saying, my God, this guy is a real bad dude.
He also
So
coached Charlie.
I met Charlie later on in life, but I've always remembered that. And if you put your head to the grind and work hard, even a kid from low state of Hawaii, going to school up there and going to the pros, you can materialize to something, and you carry on that legacy from there on. We got new kids coming in like Pikai and Rustin, and I wish them nothing but good luck.
Yes.
Okay, Cully, yeah, you after your NFL career, you went back home to Hawaii and you were coaching with your dad at Punahou before you took over as head coach. Talk about how Hawaii has always followed Charlie during all those years.
Yeah, Charlie Wiedemeyer was just the family was, everybody knew the family. And there was I felt the pressure for him to excel. I just can't imagine how he was able to perform so gracefully in everything he did, and everybody expected something. He always came through. He's always clutch. It was great to watch that growing up and try to mimic it as much as you could. But it gave you hope that it was a possibility, and then the way he did it was very humble, always approachable, always had something to say, very positive, and that's the memory we all have about him. Not just me, but everybody in Hawaii felt the same way. And that's pretty hard to do. It's hard to do.
Yeah.
So I'm very appreciative of the opportunity to get to know him a little bit, and Lucy and the family, and we're very blessed to be part of that.
Well, and I have to say, I have to jump in here, Tom, because really Duffy's looked at the heart of these boys, not just their athletic ability, but because he was bringing them into, Big Ten football, huge, where they all had come from, a small pond, so to speak. I don't know about Farrington now, but, coming from Oahu, Hawaii to Michigan State, where people from, all over were there. It was enormous. And to see how he created this amazing brotherhood. And as you say, with, players from the South who couldn't play in the northern colleges, no big deal. It was all Ohana, or family, as we call it. It was extraordinary, and he went on after leaving Michigan State. He would have golf tournaments, have all of us come. He and Bud Wilkinson started those, Coach of the Year clinics. And he'd have us come, up to San Francisco when he was in town. It was extraordinary, the gifts that he gave to these young men, and just the inspiration, and stayed in touch with all of us, until he passed away.
Yeah, and
Awesome.
also, Lucy, I want you to talk about. I think the PBS documentary was One More Season. Was that the title?
Yes.
Yeah, and then Los Gatos won the CIF section title with Lucy calling out the plays from the golf cart. Talk about that last season, but also something I find remarkable is Bill Walsh took out time the week of the Super Bowl to go to some event that was honoring Charlie. I think it was a fundraiser of some kind. Bill Walsh was there and presented Charlie with a football. And then Sherman Lewis, Michigan State's great coach was there too. And this is the week of the Super Bowl. So that's pretty interesting stuff. Talk about those.
Oh my goodness. Okay, where do we start? Charlie never wanted anyone to do anything for him. He rebuffed any kind of fundraiser, any kind of what he would think of as sympathy. He didn't want people feeling sorry for him. He embarked on, he was going to, work hard and keep going as much as he could. And these guys said, too bad, we're doing it for you. And having, the NFL, I mean, there were that guys there that I watched when I was young. Leo Namalini, Joe the Jet Perry, of course, Wyatt Tittle, R.C. Owens, who became a dear friend. I mean, it was extraordinary. And for Bill to, as you said, take the time. He was delightful, and he loved Charlie's offensive mind. Those guys would talk a lot. Those guys and Joe Montana and of course Jerry Rice. All the Niners were just really very all encompassing because they lost 3 players to ALS, and of course most recently Dwight Clark. But the humor of those guys, on top of their wisdom, and they loved creating new plays, creating something that no one would expect. I remember though at Punahou, one of the games, Charlie ran a 90-yard touchdown, and I don't know, somebody was called on a penalty, and they called it all the way back. And next play did it again.
Yeah.
And you were there, I'm sure.
I was there. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, and of course, he taught me how to juke step at Kapiolani Park, which is the main park by Diamond Head, in between the coconut trees. So, I had to know all that because there I was driving the golf cart, calling the plays, and I didn't want to, delay of game penalty. So it was always, and keeping at the 30-yard line, not going over, making sure nobody hit the golf cart. They put a tackling dummy for the first couple years. Then they realized, I guess she's not that bad of a driver. And Charlie couldn't complain about my driving because he taught me how to drive.
There you go.
Yeah. And I should have prefaced my remarks that was the year the 49ers beat the Dolphins in the Super Bowl in San Francisco.
Right. Locally. Yes. So they took
Charlie
the time
was coaching
to do that.
Charlie's coaching at Los Gatos in the Bay Area. So that's why Walsh was able to take some time. Okay. Well, let's wrap up here. There's one question that I've always forgot to ask Cully, so I'm going to do it now. He was on that 1974 team, and I was sitting in the stands as a freshman at Michigan State. Cully was a senior center, and Michigan State, with a mammoth upset of Ohio State, was ranked number 1. Levi Jackson broke off an 88-yard touchdown run to win the game.
Hayes, the coach now, and Michigan State now must try from its own 12-yard line, 1st and 10. Mike Vernon-Jones to the left. There he goes, and they go ahead. There they go. What a run, 88 yards. And Ohio State is trailing. The number 1 team in the country is behind. 15-13, an 88-yard run by the fullback, Levi Jackson.
And I swear to God, Cully, this is true. I was up in the stands in the student section. And when we were done celebrating, if you look down at your seat, we were like 2 or 3 rows removed and maybe 3 or 4 or 5 seats the other way. It's like the whole section shifted. But I've never asked you, what did you see on that play? You snapped the ball, of course, to Charlie Baggett. Charlie went down the line and gave the ball to Levi Jackson, and Levi kept it, cut wide, and went 88 yards. What do you remember about that play?
It was crazy. Before that play, they punted, so we had the ball, I think, on our 12-yard line.
12-yard line.
So
yep.
I was upset that they got such a good punt. We had to go 88 yards, not much time left. And coach heard me. And so he's yelling at me, come on, come on. I said, don't worry, coach, we got this. I'm just thinking, I don't know if we got this. We run out. Yeah. And we ran a play right up the middle, right where I was. And fortunately, the guy from me went the other way. And it was an easy block for me. And Levi just ran all the way through. And I remember, gosh, he's going to go all the way. I got to run 88 yards and go congratulate him in the end zone. He's going to make it. Come on, I can't do it. And everybody's going crazy. It was nuts. And then I thought we were going to die because the whole stands in the end zone looked like they were going to fall on top of us. There's just went down, and I thought I'm not going to make this.
Oh, wow.
It was exciting, and one of those memories you never forget, and all the guys and all the friendships and relationships and everything. But just to be part of that, it was a small sliver of what Michigan State is, and it brought back memories of the, championship game with Bob and Charlie and everybody, and but just being part of that history is awesome. It's just awesome.
That's fun.
Okay, well, let's wrap up. I'm going to have all three of you make final comments looking back on the 60th anniversary of the game of the century. And then I also want you to give Coach Fitzgerald a message to encourage him to continue recruiting Hawaii. Bob, you go first.
I'm looking back at that time when I was recruited by John McKay, as a matter of fact, for SC. He said, Bob, I just want you to do my blocking for future Heisman Trophy winner, what's his name? The guy that played at with KC. Anyway, yes. And then there's another ball player by the name of O.J. Simpson coming down, and I said, okay, that's fine. And so then Duffy took a trip down to Hawaii because he loves Wildlife Country Club. He loves the golf. He says, Bob, let's have some dinner here. He says, I told him, he found out all about what John McKay was trying to sell me. And he says, Bob, I'm going to tell you something. If you come to Michigan State, not only will you block, you will run the ball, you will catch the ball, and you will throw the ball. I said, Coach, you just sold me. That was the end of the story. And I was up in East Lansing ever since. So, both of my daughters were born in Flint, Michigan, and great kids. My ex-wife is from Flint, Michigan, and we met at Michigan State. So, life is good for me.
Never find more hardworking, dedicated young men with a big heart. And what I love most on top of that is the humbleness of most of them and their humor. In fact, when Charlie was invited to play in the East-West Shrine game and, of course, Hula Bowl, but Era Parsegian coached with Duffy for the East-West Shrine game. So we had a fun time, not only getting to know him, but giving him such a hard time about that 10-10 tie. It was great. Yeah. And when the teams were inducted a few years ago, we had an opportunity to go back. So I brought my daughter and grandchildren, and they were mesmerized by the campus. It's so beautiful. It's so expansive and so green. But and people are so genuine there. Yeah, exactly. Just
like it.
Yeah. So I would say, recruiting would be a slam dunk. These boys want to play. They have such dedication, such discipline, hardworking, and you couldn't ask for more. And to get them to travel says a lot. To get them to go to cold parts of our country, and of course the wintertime is really extraordinary. So I think he should take up Duffy's rule of having to golf and spending time in that lovely weather and accomplishing the goals to become Spartans.
Okay, and then Cully, what your message for Coach Fitzgerald, and let him know that he's got eyes and ears between you and Carter Kamenov, all the players out there.
Yeah, you know, like Lucian said, he needs to take up golf like Duffy did.
Yeah.
That would make it a lot easier for everybody. And
Uh-huh.
Duffy came out. He was going to Y-Line. I was running by a park, and he stopped over and said, "Hey, what's going on?" I said, "I'm working out and stuff." And then he says, "Oh, where are you?" I said, "Well, I'm a senior in high school and whatever." And I told him my name. He knew about my uncle Danny and my dad a little bit. It was a crazy story. He just happened to see me, and I was working out, and then we kept in touch, and things worked out. But yeah, if you play golf, good things will happen.
Yeah,
Why? I meet a lot of people.
Why alive?
Amen to that. Yep.
Wildlife's pretty
Golf
nice.
club.
Yeah. But like Lucy said, the kids here are humble. They're hardworking. Once they make a commitment, they commit. You know, they'll come out. They're very loyal, and you'll get not just the players, but their families and the whole community will be involved. You know, very supportive. And like we say here, when we recruit, well, we don't really say recruit anymore in high school. When we encourage kids to come to private schools, you know you're going to get not just the one player, but you're going to get the rest of the family as well. I think once you do that, that road becomes big, and all of us who went there are just really grateful for the opportunity and the friends we meet. And one of the regrets, very few, is that I don't get to go back and see all the guys I played with. You know, it's hard, but the memories are outstanding, and no regrets about that at all.
Okay, and I tell the stories in Ray of Light. We've got a third edition coming out that coincides with the 60th anniversary of the game of the century. There's new chapters and updated chapters, but there's a chapter about Bob Appiza as the first Samoan All-American, and then about the 11 Hawaiian pipeline players from Hawaii to Michigan State. My second book, The Right Thing to Do, tells a story about Charlie and Lucy in a deeper detail about his great coaching career and his courage fighting the ALS. And then for moms and pops and grandmas and grandpops, here's my children's book, How Duffy Put Hawaii on the Football Map.
Hawaii
was just Tom.
Yeah, nice.
Hawaii was just a sleepy little island until Duffy got
all
those Hawaiian stars, and here they are at a reunion talking about it at the Sheraton, the Banyan Tree Patio at the Sheraton on Waikiki Beach, my favorite place in the world.
Wow. Tom, mahalo nui loa. Thank you so much for all you do. Really, you've got the legacy continuing.
All right. Well, share this video with as many people as you can. Thanks for watching.